Ladies and gentlemen of the media, good morning. Welcome down to Congress Place Sophia for today's press conference hosted by People's National Congress Reform. My name is Ryan Belgrave and I will be the moderator for today's press conference. Reading the prepared statement of the People's National Congress Reform, and then after prepare to take your questions will be Mr. Aubrey Norton, Central Executive Committee member of the PNCR. Over to you, Mr.
Good morning. The People's National Congress Reform wishes to underscore the point made by President David Granger that, and I quote, "The government, since the passage of the no confidence motion in the National Assembly on the 21st of December 2018, has respected the decisions of the courts and upheld the Constitution," unquote. The People's National Congress Reform is sanguine that the Ghana Elections Commission is an independent body and that the President could not legally set a date for elections if the Commission did not state when it is ready to deliver credible elections. It is apposite to note that the PPP, when in government, through its then President stated, and I quote, "Neither the PPP nor the PNC," unquote, "could determine when elections will be held," and that, I quote, "only the Elections Commission can determine," unquote. The PNCR wishes to point to the hypocrisy that characterized the PPP utterances now that they are in opposition. It should be further noted that the Constitution states at Article 62 that, and I quote, "Elections shall be independently supervised by the Elections Commission in accordance with the provisions of Article 162, unquote. The PPP needs to recognize that the APNU plus AFC government has restored the independence of the Ghana Elections Commission, and together with the opposition has appointed a chairperson that is fit and proper. Now we have paved the way for credible elections. The PNCR wishes to applaud President Granger and to note that he has respected our courts, unlike the PPP, whose president a few years ago threw a court order over her shoulder while the then partisan Election Commission chairman declared that her actions were good. The PNCR is aware that the PPP as a government did not honor our Constitution when it refused to have the then Prime Minister perform the constitutional function as leader of government business in the National Assembly and the constitutional provision to place lotto funds in the consolidated fund inter alia. We have brought the lawless period to an end. The Guyanese people are aware that the PPP newfound talk about rule of law and constitutionality is merely an election campaign ploy to get power. Guyanese have vivid in their minds the extrajudicial killings of Guyanese by consecutive PPP regimes. No one will forget the disdain with which the PPP treated trade unions and Guyanese workers, including those in their own PPP-aligned union, GAWU. No one will forget how the PPP violated the law and imprisoned the Monroes, Mr. Wharton and Mark Benchop wrongfully. The PPP should recognize that the days of trampling the rights of the Guyanese people are over. We are convinced that the people of Guyana will return President David Granger and the APNU-AFC to government. People want the rule of law to be upheld and not a return to the lawlessness that was the hallmark of the PPP dictatorship. The Guyanese people are convinced that the rule of law has been restored. Guyanese are earning more at present, and Guyana is on the right course. Now that the Elections Commission has declared that it can deliver credible elections by February month end, the President has done the correct thing and declared that elections will be held on Monday, 2nd March 2020. The PPP is now searching for avenues to continue its pursuit of power through the back door. The identifying of a date for election is clear evidence that the APNU plus AFC government is not afraid of elections. Unfortunately, the PPP is finding something else to complain about. Clearly, the president can announce a date, but he cannot at this stage dissolve parliament, since the law states at Article 61 that, and I quote, an election of members of the National Assembly under Article 62 shall be held on such day within the 3 months after every dissolution of Parliament, as the President shall appoint by proclamation, unquote. The government has Guyana seen through the hidden agenda, and Parliament will be dissolved at the right time. We are prepared and will defeat the PPP, whose shameful record of lawlessness, dishonesty, arbitrary use of power against anyone who disagreed with them, contempt for the people of Guyana, collaborating with drug traffickers, enrichment of their friends and family, and the destruction of our law enforcement agencies so that the lawless can dominate our society will not appeal to the people of Guyana. Guyanese are now preparing for the claims and objection period. We urge all Guyanese to register during this period and to work assiduously to clean the list of the many phantoms that have been placed there during PPP misrule of Guyana. We are convinced that with a credible list and credible elections, the Guyanese people will re-elect President David Granger and the APNU AFC government. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Norton. There, of course, members of the media, was the prepared statement of the People's National Congress reform at this time. As is customary, we open the floor for your questions as it relates to the press statement, or any other questions that you have prepared.
Kanika Percival, start with news. You mentioned that the president will dissolve parliament and the appropriate at the right time, and noted that according to law, 3 months after dissolution there must be an election. So are you saying that the PNC understands that Parliament will not be dissolved before December 2nd, which is 3 months before March 2nd?
I think what is stated there is explicit. Look, what the PPP is trying to do, more specifically the caretaker opposition leader, is to try to lead us in the direction of dissolving Parliament. But anybody with a minimum amount of brain capacity will recognize that if you dissolve Parliament before the 3 months period, you are automatically saying that elections should be held within 3 months. In other words, if it is dissolved now, in 3 months you will have to have election. That will violate GCOM's readiness timeline. And so it seems axiomatic to me that one cannot dissolve Parliament before you arrive at that 3 months period within which elections should be held in keeping with the timeline. And so while I wouldn't want to say this date or that date, what seems obvious is that Parliament will be dissolved at the right time so that the law will be upheld. And what is done will be constitutional.
Thank you.
My question is about the statement. Bibi Khatun Newsroom.
Bibi
Khatun Newsroom. My question is off the statement. As it relates to going into elections, the APNU and the AFC has been engaging in talks. Can you give an update on what has been done so far and maybe some of the proposals that would be?
Well, the first thing about the negotiation process is that if you start to speak on it before the outcome, you can compromise the discussions. And so in my opinion, it wouldn't be wise for me to at this stage suggest anything about what is happening in the negotiations. We must recognize that we're not just in church, we're in politics, in which people seize every opportunity to achieve their political objective. And so what I will say to you is that at the end of the process, an official statement will be made, and the Guyanese will be brought up to date on whatever agreement is made between the APNU and the AFC.
Can you say how many meetings they've had so far and how far along the process is?
No, I'm in no position to say how many meetings they had. I know they've had many meetings, but to say 2, 3, or 4 might be putting me in the dangerous water of not speaking the truth.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the media, we thank you for coming down to Congress Place Sophia for today's press conference. We do look forward to seeing you next Friday for another edition of our press conference. Thank you.